Hello everybody, welcome back to Flavours Homemade. In today's episode I'm making native jollof spaghetti, and that's a twist on native jollof rice, and I'm going to be using the three key native ingredients, which are sun-dried eru. This is Flavours Homemade sun-dried eru that is now available to buy. Just click on the link below. The second ingredient is dried crayfish. This sort of gives it that very traditional taste. And then palm fruit extract or palm oil is one of the other three core ingredients to make any meal native, basically. So let's get cooking. We are going to start on medium heat. We're going to start off with some palm oil. Throw that in, and once it starts to heat up a little bit, then we will go in with onions. So the palm oil is melting down nicely. I've used about a quarter of a cup of palm oil because you want it to be quite generous enough to fry the sauce. And then going with some onions. So here I've used a mix of yellow and red onions. The yellow gives it a bit of sweetness and the red adds a deeper flavor of the onions. You want that to sort of start to soften. I've left this to cook down for about a minute or so. And you know, it's starting to soften. We don't want it to burn, so we go straight in with the pepper. So this is a mix of tomatoes, bell peppers and onions, which have been parboiled. So once that goes in, we want it to fry a little bit more. And this is the point where we now add all of the other spices. So you can see all of that is starting to simmer together. So we can start to add some seasoning. So the first seasoning that goes in is the sun-dried eru. Just a little bit of it. This is about 1 tablespoonful. And then in goes the crayfish, about 2 tablespoonfuls, and then some seasoning cubes. A lot of seasoning cubes. Give it a stir. Now you notice that we haven't added any salt. We're going to salt the spaghetti when we boil it. And eru is quite salty, so the sun-dried eru it's got its own natural salts, which it has been fermented in. So you want to watch how much extra salt you add to this dish. And since all of our ingredients have been pre-cooked, so you know the pepper mix was already parboiled, we've already cooked down the onions. You only need about 2-3 minutes before you start tossing in all of the meats and fishes that you want to use. So I'm using this fish right here. I think it's called shawa in Yoruba. It's dry fish, which I've reconstituted by cooking it in a pressure cooker. So I just added some onions and cooked it on the mid setting for about 20 minutes so that it's nice and soft and ready to go in. So quite a bit of that. And really you can use any meats or fishes that tickles your fancy. Whatever flavor you like in your traditional dish is what you put in here. I usually try to use some sort of smoked fish or dry fish because they're quite deep in terms of the flavor that they can impart. I'm also going to use some sala ram. My friend tells me not to call it ram. It really is lamb. But yeah, I've cooked and I've baked it. So it looks fried, but it's been cooked and baked rather than fried. I'm gonna toss that in. That gives it another extra layer of flavor. At this point, we want to sort of bring up the liquid level. I'll add some stock to it. So this is whatever stock you have on hand. I'm using the lamb stock for this. And then give it all a stir. And then so leave it to simmer for the next 5 to 10 minutes. And while it's simmering, no need to cover it actually. While it's simmering gently, we're going to get started on the spaghetti. So while my sauce is simmering away, I'm going to get started with the pasta. In goes some boiling water into a pot, and then I'm gonna break the spaghetti in. So there you go. Spaghetti goes in. I've just sort of broken it into two. Add some salt, and then you want to give it a stir with a little bit of palm oil. And the palm oil will stop it from sticking together. So you let this. We're using whole wheat spaghetti here, so it's going to need to cook for about 10 minutes, and then we'll drain it and add it to the sauce. But if you're using regular spaghetti, it takes a little shorter to cook, so you only need to cook it for about 7 minutes before you then toss it into the sauce and finish off in the sauce. So depending on what you're using, if it's regular pasta, 7 to 8 minutes, whole wheat pasta, about 10 minutes. The spaghetti looks like it's just about al dente, so very nearly ready. And we're going to finish it off in the sauce, but we want to check for salt first. I think it needs a little bit more salt. So more salt. And then it's time to drain it and toss it into the sauce. You check the sauce for salt as well, and then you check everything once it's been combined that you're happy with it. So let's go drain these. So on this side, we're going to check the sauce as well. It's not quite there. It needs a little bit more pepper. I'm going to use Cameroun pepper, which is also called Saint pepper. Give it a stir. And then in goes the spaghetti that's been drained. Mix it all together. Make sure that the sauce coats every part of the spaghetti. I've saved some of the spaghetti liquid just in case it needs a little bit more liquid to sort of keep it moist and lovely. So I'm gonna add a little bit more pasta water just to loosen it up a bit. And then in goes the vegetables. And you can use any vegetables that are in season and readily available to you. I'm using kale, but you know, depending on where you are and what season it is, you could use spring greens, you could use ugu, you could use spinach. Although I tend to avoid spinach because it just sort of floods the food with too much liquid. Stir it all together. Shall we remind ourselves of all the goodness that has gone into into this native spaghetti. So we had Flo's homemade sun-dried iru, which packs so much traditional flavor in it, and it's shelf stable, so it can stay on your shelf for up to a year without you needing to freeze it like the regular version. But it also still retains all that flavor and all that goodness, and it's available to purchase in the link below. Look at how that is just sort of coming together. The spaghetti is almost ready, the vegetables are starting to wilt down, the meats and everything have sort of absorbed all the nutrients and all the flavors. And now the only thing left to do, if you have it available, is to add some saint leaf. I think it's also called efirin in Yoruba. But for me, I'm going to use some basil because that's what's readily available here. Just scoop that in, frozen basil, and you put it at the end because you don't want it to, you want it to still sort of taste in there. You want it to be fresh, and you want people to remember that there was some efirin in that spaghetti. And look at that, it's very nearly ready now. Just one more minute, or you can even turn off the heat and let the residual heat just finish off those vegetables for you. You want them to still be nice and crunchy, and this is just goodness in a bowl, the native way. Just love it. If you've liked this recipe, please leave us a comment. Let us know whether you've tried it. What else do you use iru for? We'd like to interact with you. We'd like to know which of our recipes you find useful and what more recipes you'd like to see. Do like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more recipes. Enjoy!